My name is Marleine Bastien, as you know. I'm the executive director and founder of FANM Haitienne Miami, the Haitian Women of Miami. We are a non-profit charitable organization that was formally organized in 1991. At FANM, we have several programs that we implement. For example, we have a mental health program. We also work with victims. I use the word victims, but I don't like to use it. Men and women who are victims of domestic violence. We also have a health access program because it is our belief at FANM that just because you're poor, just because you're undocumented, that doesn't mean that if you're sick, you have to die. We also have, of course, the after school program. So what we do, we provide this space for the kids to come after school. Instead of going to an empty homes where they may get involved in all kind of mischiefs and get into, stuff that they're not supposed to get into, they come here. We check their homework. We feed them. We correct their homework. We have the adult education program. Believe it or not, we have a lot of family members, a lot of our clients who are not literate. I mean, we get testimonies of clients, saying how didn't even know how to turn on the computer. They didn't even know. And now, not only that they are able to, apply for jobs in the computer, but they are able to follow, and which is the most important, their children's progress using the internet. And the last one is community economic development. Of course, we couldn't, have this interview without talking about our wonderful immigration services and advocacy work, which, for the most part, some people think that's all we do, but we also organize and advocate. So, in a nutshell, this is FANM and what I do with a group of a very strong team, because without the team, it is impossible to do the wonderful work that we do here at FANM. When we see FANM, when we see women, don't we see everybody? We see everybody. We see the children, we see the husband, we see the fiancé, we see the cousins. So just the fact that the organization is called FANM doesn't mean that we only serve, women. It's because it is called FANM that we serve men, because when we see FANM, we see everybody. When we hear the cries of women, we hear everybody. Well, like I said, teamwork is extremely important. Of course, to implement the programs, we need money. We are supported mainly by local governments. We receive funding from the city of Miami, for example, even though the funding has been reduced by over 50%. No, it doesn't. We understand that it's a global crisis. The economic crisis is a global crisis. Of course, it's frustrating because our funds have been reduced at a time when the demands for our services have increased. Because remember, after the earthquake, we welcomed a lot of families. We have a 98% success rate for our citizenship program. We can come here and listen to the testimonies of parents whose children have been removed from their custody, and they started to attend the parenting class with tears in their eyes after the 16 weeks of classes or parenting classes to testify how they could have prevented the crisis that they are engaged in, if they knew what they learned from the parenting class. When you have a student, a literacy student now involved and enrolled at Miami-Dade Community College, when you have an 80-year-old woman, I'll call her Marie, who became U.S. citizen and was able to vote, for President Obama in the last election. I mean, I think this is success. Since the earthquake, which killed over 250,000 people, we've been organizing locally and nationally for President Obama to create a Haitian family reunification parole, just like he did for Cuban, because in 2009 he renewed the Cuban family reunification parole, which allows Cubans who've been approved for visas to come and wait here. When we compare Cuba and Haiti, Haiti is in 10 times worse shape than Cuba. And yet, despite our local and national organizing, despite over 30 editorials from major newspapers in the US, despite over 100 members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, including Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, who chairs, the Foreign Relations Committee, asking President Obama to do this. He hasn't done it. Before the elections, we were promised that something would have happened. But look at it, it's been since November, we're now in February, end of February. The Obama administration has yet to create the Haitian Family Reunification Parole. So this is one campaign that we are engaged on. We Haitian Americans, we tend to be harder on ourselves. I hear sometimes my compatriots asking, oh, what have we done? We haven't done much. But when you compare how we came, when we tried to come here en masse in the late 70s, early 80s, we were stopped from coming. Many of us were repatriated. When we arrived anyway, we were detained for months in detention centers around the nation, sometimes years. After we came, unlike the Cubans, for example, who were treated with who received the red carpet treatment, we were left to fend for ourselves by whatever means necessary. We had to find work. We didn't get any subsidized housing. We didn't get any help at all. Actually, there was a time when it wasn't politically correct to support Haitians in this community. Could we have done better? I think we could have. But social scientists who are looking at our community from the outside in believe that we've progressed at a very, very, very fast pace compared to others, given where we came from, where we started. Well, I think it was a very good experience running for office. I've always believed that not enough women run for office. It's always been our motto here: half the population, half the power. But one thing that I realized when I ran for office was that when women run, even women, most women do not support, which is very sad. When men run, men and women support them. But when women run, even other women do not support. Until we understand the importance of having women around the table, having women partaking in decision-making processes at all levels of society, until we understand the importance of supporting women to position of powers where their collective voices can be heard to benefit the majority, and not a selected few, we will continue to have a society that is unbalanced. Because it is believed that when women are in decision of power, in societies where women can partake equally in decision-making processes, like some countries in Europe, these societies are more stable. But women, we need to believe that. We need to understand the necessity, the importance of supporting other women who run for office. Right now, I don't think I'm ready to answer this question, but I'll say this to you. My focus right now is really to put FANM at a level where when I retire, you as a young Haitian American leader, you will find a strong, thriving, forward-thinking, visionary organization. When I went for office, my heart really was all over the place. For example, I co-chaired the Haiti Relief Task Force. I left the campaign to travel to Haiti to distribute food medication while the other candidates were campaigning. So, if I'm running for office and then there is a crisis, I have to be there. That's what my heart is. So it is a difficult question to answer right now. But the focus is really FANM. I grew up in a family that taught me social responsibility. For example, I started volunteering at a very young age. When I was 8, I had to, volunteer in my father's school teaching. My father had the only school in our village teaching adults and children how to read and write. I couldn't go swim until my brothers and I gave out 2 hours in the school. And my parents, both my parents were not only farmers. They built the school which they donated to the Baha'i faith right now. I learned at a very young age to really work, for the collective good. That's what I've been trying to do. Work to improve the lot of the collectivity. That's what I want to continue to do. When I was 16, I volunteered at Albert Schweitzer de Chapelle, teaching, feeding malnourished children. That's what my job was, just giving them sauce pois noir, black bean soup, and maimoulette, cornmeal, because they were so dehydrated, so emaciated that they couldn't even chew. I used to use a syringe as a young girl to feed them in the chapelle. So every vacation, my friends would say, oh, 3 months vacation, you're not gonna see Marleine. She's gonna be up about, So that's the work. That's something that's been instilled in me at a very young age. Plus, I'm a Baha'i. I don't know if you know about the Baha'i faith. The Baha'i faith teaches us really that it's not what's important. It's not whether you go to church, whether you belong to a religion. What's important is how you live your life, how you serve your brothers and sisters. How can you say you love God that you never see, that some may even have doubts about, when you have brothers and sisters that you can see every day? That's how we assess spirituality. What you do, your actions. It's not whether you go to church or not. So as a Baha'i, that's what I do. Working and doing what I'm doing is an act of prayer to me. That's what we were taught. And that's the life I'm leading. Well, it depends on when you ask them. I think they're probably proud of their mommy, but I was really surprised when they had an event for me last year and they were like talking about how I'm all over the place. So I think they are impacted somewhat. But I think they eventually, now that they are older, they understand better what I've done. Because raising 3 boys, 3 sons, while doing all this work hasn't been easy. But I'm rewarded by the fact that I see that now that my youngest is 16 years old, my youngest son, I see that they understand better and then they are more appreciative. But before, Mom, again, traveling again, Yeah, well, they've been in rallies since they were babies, But I don't know who's gonna. I think it's too early. I think it's too early to say. They said they don't like politics because they see me out all the time working. I said, Mom, you work too hard. When my oldest son was 8, he said, Mom, you're the president of the Haitian Women of Miami and we're living like this. So, but now they understand better. I don't think I would do anything different because, like I said, when I was 16, I participated in my first autopsy when I was 15 at the chapel. And I liked it then. I traveled throughout the country to Aken, Lekai, to do teaching and do training at a very young age. So it seems like it's in my blood, really. Believe my family and FANM, I think it's a great accomplishment. I think it's a great accomplishment because we serve over 5,000 clients on a yearly basis here. And sometimes when I get discouraged and then I come and I go to the adult center and I see them, learning and write painfully, writing their letters, and I see their testimony about becoming a U.S. citizen, about their testimony of enrolling at Miami-Dade when they could hardly write it 3 years earlier. I think FANM is a great accomplishment. Of a really peaceful world. I yearn for a peaceful world where women will partake equally in decision-making processes.